hunting,
fishing,
cooking,
camping,
conservation,
travel,
gardening,
photography, family.
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 This is the Outdoor Ruhls podcast.
Hi, everybody. It's your host, Mike. Really excited to bring you today's episode. Something really special happened a few weeks back. One of Dad's cousins, Jane, reached out to me because she had a tape that was made at one of our family reunions, and it was the aunts and uncles of my dad's generation, so my grandpa and his brothers and sisters sitting around doing a little bit of storytelling. The tape is not especially great audio quality, but it provided me with something that I never thought I would get to experience again, which is that the first time in 28 years I heard my grandpa's voice. And so in this episode, what we're going to do is we're going to talk with Jane and her sister Lana, and we're going to play a few little stories out of that tape. Unfortunately, the audio quality isn't extremely good, but it's good enough to hear those voices from the past and just something that's so very special to me and to my family. I'm going to kick the episode off with the first story where I got to hear my grandpa's voice. He's the one that bought the bicycle.
That's a bicycle we used to have. The one that came out the barn door one time. I remember
the one I bought off of John Zick.
Greg bought one darn goose cart from John Zick one time. He going to ride down.
Didn't have a chain.
He'd go to ride down that back lane to the barn there. And there's halfway down, there's a turn, and the car coming around had two big ridges there. But when he hit that, I thought that was the end of the grain and the bicycle. He didn't have no brakes. But he was trying to brake, and he had his foot up and under the front wheel. I thought he'd going over the handlebar.
Well, it was in a big heavy thing in there. Big heavy frame bicycle. It's high.
That was that high.
Yeah, you have an old skinny tire bike. That's what it was.
That's what and that ended up, they pushed it out the barn door. Remember, see how many times it would bounce the front wheel to the seat and bounce around. How it was up about.
I paid $3 for that bicycle.
We had to give it a push out the barn
chain.
door.
I hope that you all enjoy the rest of the episode. I'm joined in this one by Poppy, and then we'll let his cousins that are with us introduce themselves. I'm going to put the full-length tape from that family reunion up on our website at www.outdoorruhls.com for anybody that's interested. All right, here we go.
I'm Jane Shultz.
So, yeah, Jane Shultz. You're one of Dad's cousins. We've talked about you a time or two and your parents.
Yeah.
But you are the mother of our other brother Davey.
Yes, I am.
And our other brother Davey is hopefully going to be an upcoming episode too. We're gonna work on him to get on here. And then
I'm Lana. I'm Jane's older sister. I was the third of the 26 cousins.
There were 26 grandchildren of what would be my great grandfather and grandmother on the Ruhl side. And,
Grant and Amy Ruhl.
Grant and Amy Ruhl, yeah.
Amy Brubaker Ruhl.
Amy Brubaker Ruhl, yes.
Well, tell us a little bit about your mom and dad.
Our mom and dad lived close to where you lived when you were young, and they started out their life here in Quentin, and they've lived there all their lives in Quentin. So my mom grew up on the farm with Randy's dad and all her brothers and sisters, and early in their marriage, my dad had to go to World War II, and they hadn't seen each other for 4 Christmases. They were apart while he was in the war, so that was hard on everyone. But she would often go back to the farm. Someone would come and get her. She never drove, but someone would take her back to the farm because she really missed it living in the town, the big town of Quentin.
Yeah, the metropolis of Quentin.
I said, Jane, I think in one of our earlier podcasts, I believe that your father worked on landing crafts, or he was drove a landing craft, or what was it?
We have no idea where that story
came from.
He was in
the Signal Corps, so he was with radios, and he did a lot, I think, with radios and Morse code and stuff like that.
He was in the Philippines.
Yeah.
So he was in the Pacific.
Yes, he was in the
South
Pacific.
Pacific. Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you know
was drafted like 3 months before I was born.
Oh,
So
wow.
I was born pre-war, and Jane was post-war.
That's amazing. I didn't know that. So, well, go ahead, Lana. When were you born?
I was born in February of 1943.
February.
And
of
he
43.
went right before Christmas in 1942.
So he must have.
He did get home to see me. Doc Heisey made some special thing and got him home to see me, but then he wasn't home, I guess, until after the war. Well, 46, I guess, he came back.
And I think Bobby was originally from Quentin.
Bobby lived all his life in Quentin except for maybe 2 years when his dad worked for the Colemans, and they lived in one of those 2 houses down by the school, but his father just died quickly and they had to move out of the Coleman house, so they moved back here to Quentin. So I think he lived most of his life in the same house.
We talk about Quentin all the time on the podcast, but we're here in the house that Mom grew up in, and the house that you're talking about. You don't even really have to have a great arm to hit it with a stone from here if there weren't other houses in the way.
That's true.
It's 2 houses. There's 2 houses
Right.
in between the house we're sitting in and the house you grew up in.
It was a double home. He lived on one side with his mother and his sister. And then when Sarah and Bobby got married, they had a chance to buy the other half of the house. So that's how we grew up. You could walk right from one house over to the other. We shared the same steps to the second floor.
And Bobby lived with 6 women, so that was a challenge.
Really?
Because it was his sister and his mom, and then
Her daughter.
sister's daughter lived there too. So
Oh, wow.
One of the interesting things about that house and this house were exactly the same design.
Yeah,
at
they're the
first.
same floor plan.
Yeah.
there's several houses in Quentin, I think,
Yes.
that have this.
Yes.
If you look at the front doors, you can kind of
Right.
tell where the windows are.
Double houses.
But you shared the attic, shared the steps to the basement, shared the
the
steps
steps
to the
to the
second
upstairs.
floor.
Right.
Right.
You had to get along.
It didn't. Yeah,
That must have been hard.
It was a challenge.
Yeah.
it was, yes.
And your place stayed more as 2 separate houses, right? There was a kitchen, and there was still a kitchen and stuff on
Right.
on
And then
both
when
sides.
when Sarah, we call our parents Sarah and Bobby. When Sarah and Bobby bought the other half of the house, then Amy and Grant Ruhl moved in to live with them, so Sarah could take care of them.
And so when was that? When did your grandparents come to live with you here
Oh,
in Quentin?
boy.
I have no idea.
I don't remember either.
I don't.
I don't even know how long they stayed there with him, but
I don't know.
Well, I don't know how early or how long they had lived there at that point, but when Grant, my oldest son, was born, I have a picture, not a very good one. I think it's a slide that I can't find right now. But the 4 Grants took a picture of them in the living room there at that house, and he was born in 78. So
Right.
it would have been
Yeah.
76, 77 probably they moved there.
well, my grandma must have been there at least till 80 because Dave is in a picture. That's a good way to reference
Yeah.
it. But so we have a picture with him with Grandma Ruhl. So.
And yeah, I mean, maybe she passed away in 80 because I don't think
Maybe.
I think she passed away before I was born, and I was born on the last day of May in 80.
Yeah, so it must have
And
been
Davey
around.
was born early in the
He
year.
was born in
right?
March, yeah.
Yeah, so must have been right in there at some point. But they only lived with you there for a couple of years.
Right.
Yeah. So it was probably in the late 70s when they came to live
Probably.
here in Quentin. But they had the connection to Quentin through the church, right? I mean,
Right.
this was where they came to church here for
Many
decades.
years. Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, originally they went to church in Rexmont, and then was that right?
No, I don't think so. I think they.
You're talking
always-
about our parents?
No.
Grant and Amy.
Well, Amy's family was Mennonite, so some of her sisters still wore the Mennonite type dress, but
And the Caps.
yeah, I think, but 2 of them.
But as long as I
Left.
can remember, they came to the Quentin
They
church.
came to Quentin Church. And I remember that because Grandpa was big in the Quentin Cemetery. or in the Bismarck Cemetery, I should say. Yeah.
And the picnics, they were
And
always.
the picnics, yeah. Amy made rolled out the dough for the
Oh my
pot pie.
gosh, yes,
Yeah.
so much pie dough, so much chicken picking.
And as I've said before, one of the really fun things about having started this podcast has been that we've got a lot of family have been reaching out with various pieces of information, and you guys especially, which I can't tell you how much I appreciate. But like Mom just had today handed me a cookbook. I think it's the church cookbook from 1958
was it
or
green?
something. Yeah.
Yes.
And that was the church here in Quentin. It was St. Paul's then?
Yes.
St.
Right.
Paul's UCC, yeah. Or St. Paul's Reformed.
I think it was St. Paul's Reformed
yes.
then. Yeah. And that church burned, right?
Burned. That church
We've
burned.
Lotto was there.
One church, this is our fourth church. The first one, this steeple went down in a windstorm, and then 2 burned. So the one we have now is our fourth church.
Really?
Yes.
So Lotto was the last person in the church,
Yes,
so
I
the police
was.
had to interview her.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Pardon?
When was that?
It must have been 1961, because I think I was a senior in high school.
I was in 4th grade.
We were preparing for Youth Sunday, and then I was playing the organ, and my friend played piano. We were going to play a piano and organ duet, so we were like the last ones in this church.
And then it caught fire overnight.
It caught fire. It was electrical fire, I guess, overnight. So I had to talk to the fire marshal. Was I smoking in the church? No, I don't think so.
And then the church that's there now was built in the 60s. Is that
Cornerstone
Yes,
is 1963.
1963?
We had church in the fire hall for a while.
A long
They would
while.
laugh
Yes.
because they would do bingo on Thursday night, and then they'd have to move the altar in for Sunday morning.
So, one of my recollection of your parents, I remember them as really being fun-loving people. And I know that you don't always see the whole picture, you don't always know everything, but that they always felt to me like they were quick to laughter. They were really nice people. They were fun when I was a kid to be around. So there was that. There was your dad's woodworking, and then there was just the incredible garden,
The garden.
that they kept. And so I guess I just wanted to sort of touch on some of those things. I mean,
I would think my mom was a little more fun-loving than my dad. I think she had some of the Ruhl
Nick Snookser.
nitsnooks. That's exactly the word I was going to say,
Yeah.
nitsnooks. I think Dad was a little more, I think he was a little more quiet. I don't know.
Well, he was brought up, he didn't have
his
a father for
family
a long time. So
His family situation was a lot
I'd
different
say
than
he
our
was
mom's.
maybe more reserved, but he enjoyed having
Oh,
fun.
yes.
Yeah.
He
Yeah.
was, I never saw him get really, really angry. He never got
He
angry.
only get angry at me one time that I can remember.
Out of all those
that's
years,
probably
one
a good
time.
story.
My
Did you
mother
burn the
hated
church down?
oysters, and she finally. What did you say?
was it the time you burned the church down?
My mother hated making oysters, and she made him an oyster sandwich. And I took mine going, ooh, look at the oyster. He was not happy because he wanted her to make oyster sandwiches again. So
Tell him
No, he-
about your marble cake, too.
Oh, for some reason they made a marble cake that's like chocolate.
Yeah.
Well, he put marbles in his mouth, and then he'd spit them out, and I was afraid to eat the cake because I was afraid to swallow the cake. I forgot about the marble cake.
More for him.
So,
Yes, that was not a normal thing for him to do. I don't know.
Yeah, we had, and their garden was it used to be the whole back of the house and the whole side of the house, and then eventually that was,
It kept getting shorter.
it was
And then Randy
bigger
turned-
than it was when I was a kid.
it was like the whole back of the house, and then almost all the way down to the street yet. So
It was like a
'Cause
big L.
But even
it was-
I mean, even when I was a kid, that garden had to be at least a half an acre.
it's a
Maybe,
lot of
maybe
garden.
bigger than that.
I think it was probably one of the biggest yards in this end of town.
Yeah,
oh, yeah. I mean, for being in town, it was a huge lot.
It was the biggest garden in town.
And I was thinking, this is Outdoor Ruhls. Bobby's outdoor was his garden.
Yeah.
You know, there was no fishing or hunting, but gardening, yes.
He loved it.
It was he more of a driver in that, or your mom?
That's hard to say because they both liked it. I mean, as she got older, and they, it was overwhelming because she was working and then she'd come home and there'd be all this stuff to do.
And there'd be a bucket of beans to do something with.
But I think they both were really interested in it. Plus, it was free food, so that was a big incentive.
And it fit into your mom did a lot of cooking. Your mom made chow. Your mom canned all kinds of
peppers,
things.
stuffed
So
peppers.
everything that was in the garden, she did some canning with it.
Right. And were we
Besides
helpful?
eating.
Pardon?
I said, were we helpful? Not really.
And besides of giving stuff to all the neighbors, meaning us
Yes.
and anybody else around,
He liked to do that.
Yeah, he did.
He had a little table at the end of the yard, as when we left and everything, and just put free stuff out there for anybody.
Oh,
that
really?
wanted it.
They
Yeah.
put stuff for people to take.
Now they were fussy about picking corn. That was it had to be I don't think she liked anyone else picking corn because it had to be exactly the right.
I would say they were fussy about everything that they did. I mean,
Probably.
no, I'm
They
not
wanted it
saying that in an
good.
ugly way. Yeah. I mean, if she baked something, it had to be right, or if she made something and everything out of the garden had to be right. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I still miss her cherry crumb pies.
Oh, yeah.
Well, how many pies did she make for the Sunday school picnic? She'd make
I
a
have
table full of pies. It was
I think she had 25 cherry pies, and then she'd make 5 or 6 lemon meringue pies yet for the Sunday school picnic.
raspberry pies. Yeah, lots of good stuff.
But that was, I mean, in some ways, throwback to how they grew up.
Yes.
With baking.
During the Depression, that was
Right,
a big,
and I mean, they did a lot of baking for market, right?
Yeah.
yes.
Grandma Ruhl, Amy Ruhl did that. They had
And the girls, Verna and
The men talk about how they filled up the car. They had an old car that
the car was a hearse, an old hearse.
they'd go to market, and this car would be full of pies and cakes. And I think Edna made the cakes, and maybe Verna.
and Sarah.
They had
I do have the old market cake recipe.
Mm-hmm.
I made it once for Dale and Denise. They said I don't have to make it again. I don't know if I baked it too long. It was pretty dry. But they sold a lot of them, so.
Yeah, and I mean that was a big part of the family. I mean, I think it kind of like in some ways gets lost in looking back that great grandma and a lot of women in that generation, she didn't work outside the home. Great grandma didn't. But from an economic standpoint, all that baking every week that they did had to be hugely important to the family.
Exactly.
I mean, that,
I sort of remember somebody saying one time if she wanted money, she'd had to go to market.
Yeah.
I don't know that Grandpa Ruhl gave her much money.
Yeah.
Right.
And so if she wanted money for things, that's how she got money to buy things.
I mean, when you look at her diaries, they did 30 chickens at a time. Or all the wash. And then she'd have to hang it all out and get it all in again. And then she wrote, it was raining, so I had to put it all in the attic. So you go up 3 flights of steps to take your laundry up there.
Oh, my.
Hang it in the attic.
We think we lost that, what was the word we said?
I don't know.
We just don't have the, I can't even think of it.
Energy.
The ambition like they did.
Can you imagine the energy that it took to do all that, though? I mean, all the kids, all the other responsibilities, and just how important that had to have been to them as a family. It's really impressive to think about.
Yes, it's very impressive.
Back on the garden. Did you guys spend a lot of time working in the garden? Was that like Really?
No.
I do remember pulling a chain down the row for the potatoes. Do you remember
We
that?
could pick the potatoes out. When he dug potatoes, we were allowed to pick the potatoes
Oh,
out.
yeah.
No, this is when we planted them. There would be a row, and you'd have to drag the chain down for some. I don't know why.
Make the
Why would you do
row
that?
straight.
And you had to cut the potatoes so there was an eye in each piece and drop them in.
But we weren't allowed to do that.
No, I think I
I
know-
wasn't allowed to do that.
I do remember pulling a chain down there for some
Well,
reason.
I do remember that the rows were straight.
Yeah.
That you didn't have a bend in the row or anything like that. They were straight.
That was one thing. Bobby loved weird potatoes. He'd always come running in. Look at this one. This
Oh,
doesn't
yeah.
this look like this? Or,
And then on the back end, you talked about, you mentioned a few things about giving produce away and stuff, but I wanted to dig in just a little bit to some of the stuff that they did, because part of the thing that's in my childhood memory is a couple of days going over there. Probably Pop Grant took me over or whatever when they were making chow chow or doing those things. So what were the things that they made, and then kind of like a little bit about
red beets, pickled red beets. They made chow chow. They made stuffed peppers. That was a big.
and they
I
canned
love those
those.
stuffed peppers.
Yes, everything was canned. Then when they got to freezer, they started more with the freezer stuff. So corn, we had corn and lima beans and string beans. And we had an apple tree, so we could make applesauce.
They had a
sometimes.
cherry tree for a while.
Yeah.
She also would buy peaches. My dad took his lunch to work every day, and he took canned peaches. She would make up to 100 quarts of peaches every year.
100 quarts.
She had 100 quarts one year.
Oh man!
And then she did pears also.
You had, a couple apple trees in the yard?
Yeah.
One day we were sitting out, and we just went, boom, it fell down.
Oh, really?
Great big branch. They were sitting out in the back porch. Boom. I don't know what happened to the cherry tree.
I don't either.
And a lot of people probably don't know what chow chow is, but
Chow chow has a lot of different vegetables, and then they pickle them and then you put them in jars with special lids, and you have to cook it. Now, some people, they put it in a water bath to cook it, but I don't think they ever did. They just...
Because theirs was always clear. You can buy chow chow that's in a cloudy or a gold type
They
sauce.
have some put a
That
little
was
bit of
clear.
mustardy stuff in it.
Yours that was always clear. And when you say a lot of vegetables, I mean it was cauliflower, it was all kinds of beans, it was
Whatever
green
was
beans.
left over in the garden.
It was carrots, it was I always wanted to get the little onions.
like pearl onions.
The pearl onions and the junk of cauliflower, little pickles, and I mean little
Carrots.
itty bitty pickles. Yeah.
She and
So,
Verna would freeze things
Yeah.
during the season, and then when it was chow chow time, they would
Yeah,
get it out.
and that was kind of my recollection of it too. It was usually like a late summer thing,
Right.
or early fall,
Things
right?
that were sort of left.
Right, and they would, as fresh things came in, they might blanch them and freeze them, or prep them and
Right.
freeze them however they could, or if it was carrots, just store them cold. But then it was kind of like going into winter when there wasn't going to be any more fresh stuff. Then they got everything out, and they made tons of it,
Yes.
right?
Jars
Made
and
up to
jars
100
of it.
pints, maybe.
She had a big cold cellar, and then it was fun to go down there and see. Just grab a good jar of that and
Right.
have it for supper.
You mentioned that Sarah and Verna would work together in Chow Chow. Was Edna part of that too? Usually,
I don't
She
think
had so
so.
many kids that she
I don't. Yeah.
and she lived further away. Like they lived sort of close together. Well, I
Right.
say further away. Like what?
Schaeferstown.
That wasn't that far, I guess. But
We had talked a little bit on the last podcast we did that they were the ones that were moved by Project 70 when
Right.
they built
Right.
Middle Creek. Yes.
Right.
So
I think Edna made her. I shouldn't say made it. Had her daughters do a lot more of those things than we
she
did.
had to. Yeah, we were spoiled rotten. Let's face
They
it.
bake, they cook, they weave.
but yeah, and I remember Pop Grant helping a little bit that time, and maybe he did other
Sim
times.
helped one
Sim
time.
helps. Yeah.
Yeah, I guess I remember that. Like, we talk about the Outdoor Rules podcast, and we do a ton of hunting and fishing stuff, obviously, but gardening is obviously totally an outdoor pursuit. And then it just felt like such a family thing to me, and maybe not maybe not in the sense that lots and lots of family were always involved, but every time you went to a family reunion or a Christmas party or any get-together, that was food that was being shared. I mean, there was that family connection.
Right.
And, obviously you kind of came to take that for granted, right? I mean, almost like for me as a kid, I didn't love chow chow, and now it's like, oh man, I give.
Do you like chow chow?
I do now.
I'm always on the search for the best chow chow. I think I found some now, so
yeah,
I feel better.
but
now my next search is those little stuffed peppers.
Oh yeah. Well, and the one thing that I particularly remember that I liked, and I know that Davey liked too. Your mom made a couple kinds of pickles, and there was a sweet pickle called a lime pickle that everybody loved, and I never did. I never cared for those pickles.
And I keep sending you that recipe,
which is fine. I should probably try them again because now that I'm an adult, I might like them.
They were like a bright green, really bright
they
green.
were real green.
It's like an odd sort of color.
Yeah, I wonder why something in them
know.
to get them that way.
My parents were making pickles one time, and knowing that I'd been there when they made those lime pickles, and they got so green. So Beth was there also. She was just little, and they were cooking pickles in the stove, just regular pickles. So I said, let's put green food coloring in with it. So we dumped green food coloring in a pot. So they got to the green almost they had. And my mom came in and, Grant, something's wrong with these pickles. What did you do to them? Beth, she's crying. She's really... And he finally told him. But talking pickles, whenever we had a reunion or something, there was always a type of pickle that was on the table. It was a long pickle that was sliced twice, the long way. So you had quarter spears in there.
Okay.
And they were always on the table because they weren't sitting in the juice anymore. And I used to really like them. And now I can't find them
Was
anymore.
it a dill pickle?
Yes.
Yeah, it was a type
of
dill
pickle. And that's what I was talking about.
Yeah, it was a I don't know, a recipe. I don't know what it was, but I haven't been able to ever.
Well, and I know. I mean, I could eat those things when I was a kid until I was sick. I loved them.
I wonder if Dale would have Vern's
Well, I used
recipe.
to make pickles, but I just made bread and butter pickles. So,
But
No, these were dill spears like Dad's talking about.
Okay.
And I know there was a recipe for them because one time after we moved here, so it would have been between 13 and 16, we got the recipe from your mom. Me and Pop Grant got it, and we were going to make these pickles. And he, for all of his strengths, he wasn't always right about everything. He looked at the recipe and the amount of vinegar and salt in the recipe, and he was just like, no way. That can't possibly be right. Like, that's way too much vinegar and way too much salt. And I don't know what we did. We halved it or we did something. And we made these pickles, and they tasted like water. They were terrible. The recipe was definitely right.
I think there was also something that it was a special pickle that Bobby grew. Because it wasn't as big around as a regular dill spear.
Oh, like it was a different cucumber.
It was a different cucumber.
Oh,
It was a narrower, longer pickle, that didn't get very large, big in diameter, but it would get longer. And for some reason, those were great. My memory has it, and it's one of those things that you think, as you're growing up, you get these things, and you think they're always going to be there.
Right.
You know what I mean? And they're
I
not.
cannot
they're not
find
there.
that recipe. Wonder if Verna would have it.
Well, he liked to experiment too with different things
Yes.
in the garden, so that might have been. He usually got them from Burpee, I think, but I don't know.
I don't know.
Well, we'll have to search for the pickle recipe and
Yeah,
do it the right way.
Maybe you have it in your box. I cannot find it in Sarah's files.
Well, I never made dill. I always just made the bread and butter. But
Yeah, well, you wouldn't have had to make dill. Your mom had the perfect dill pickle recipe, as far as I could tell, and apparently Bobby knew how to grow the perfect cucumber for it. But yeah, I mean, it's it's those things that you don't like. You just can't understand in the moment, how important and how special that stuff is, and I mean, I've never tasted another thing like it, and I'm sure if I had one today, it would just be, all the way right back. But then your dad was also an amazing woodworker.
Yes, he was.
And had a really beautiful wood shop, and you guys must still have a fair number of.
We have a lot of things he
those
made, like
pieces.
corner cupboards and clocks and
Most
hutches.
of my furniture, other than my sofa and chair, are things he made.
Then when he had grandchildren, he went like toys. We had all kinds of beautiful toys. And she made a scrapbook we went around and took pictures of everything one time and gave him a scrapbook. She gave him a scrapbook, and it was like, oh my gosh, I can't believe that all the
Sarah
things
used to
he made.
knit, and one day Jane got out all the sweaters that she made, and Sarah just felt so good that she had accomplished this with all these sweaters. So then for Bobby's birthday, I just had people send photos, and we made this scrapbook for him for things that he had made.
Oh, nice.
So he'd go out in the shop, she'd go upstairs and sew, and then they'd meet
Happy
for
life.
lunch.
Right. Yeah, and that, I mean, that maybe part of those fond memories is when I was in that house, there was always interesting wooden toys and,
Yes.
and cool stuff, and your mom always had made beautiful pieces that she sewed, because she sewed a lot.
Yes.
Yeah.
She used to
a
sell them.
seamstress.
Yeah. Sold them at the craft shows.
On the craft things.
And she did work outside of the house.
She worked in the factory and one of the
Colebrook Lingerie.
Yes.
Yes.
She used to work at Quentin, then she worked at Rexmont, but she was a seamstress.
She worked at Royer's Cake
She
Shop
didn't
for a
like
while
it
too.
that much, and she never drove, so she always had to depend on someone else to take her everywhere.
She never drove.
She drove, and something they were driving.
She
through
had
the
Bobby's
field,
car when he was in the service and backed into something, and then wouldn't
That was
drive
it.
anymore.
I think one of the brothers was with her.
Somebody was.
I've heard stories of them driving with your mother. I don't remember them, but I remember hearing,
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was.
And your father worked at Cornwall.
Yeah, he was at the mines, so
He ran the hoist, I think.
No,
No, what did he do?
he was in the machine
he
shop.
was in the machine shop.
Was he in the
He
machine?
was.
Oh,
He
really?
did not go down in the mines unless it was repair week, or what did they call
Major,
it?
yeah.
Then they would go down in the mine, but most of the time he worked in the machine shop.
They were both happy to retire.
Yeah. So he came back from the service. Did he go to work in the mines pretty much right away?
Yeah,
I think he worked there before he was in the service,
And then
didn't he?
yeah.
I think so.
And then how long? Do you know how long he worked there? When did he retire?
Well, the flood
It was
when-
72,
Yeah, Agnes was 72.
because he was still pretty young.
Yeah,
72, 19 from 72.
he worked a little after the flood, but after that,
So he
yeah,
probably
they
worked
shut it
30
down.
years or
Yeah.
something in the mine. One of the things that you recently dug up and that I wanted to talk about a little bit on this episode was you have a tape of, I think all of the siblings are on it except Wilmer.
Right.
So I guess just talk a little bit about that tape and the timing and the origin.
Were you the incentive, or we always heard all the stories, and we thought, these are going to be lost, and we should do something. So I don't know whose idea was it. Your idea?
I don't know. It was at one of the family reunions, so we just took them aside and sat them down, and I guess told them to tell stories. I don't even remember
Tell
too
us
much
your
about
stories.
it.
I always gave you credit for initiating that.
I don't know. I don't know. I could have been.
Somewhere somebody said 1989, right? Was that you, Jane?
Yes, it was 1980. That's on the paper. Yes, it's 1989.
Yeah, it wasn't on the tape. It just says Ruhl, do not erase.
And it was at a family event at the church here. In
We used to have two reunions. One in the winter. I don't know. Was it January, February? And then we always had the one in August.
So we'd go to somebody's house, either Verna's or Edna's or
at Christmas time.
Yeah. Or no, in the summer we'd have a big picnic.
So I don't know. Maybe
And
I did.
It was Guy and Grant and Edna and Verna and Sarah and
Sim and Alan.
Sim and Alan Dick. So it was all of them together. And unfortunately, we have a picture, which is like amazing. There's a picture of it, except none of the women are in the picture.
They're probably cleaning up.
Yeah, so it was just the brothers. In the photo, it's about 35 or 36 minutes long, and they're literally just sitting around telling stories. And kind of the funny thing about the way they're telling stories is that they'll tell a story up to a point where everybody else remembers the story because they've all told these stories so many times, and then they move on to the next story. And so it's a little hard to follow.
Yes.
But
I wonder how many times I listened to that till I finally got it typed up.
oh man, it must have been
I don't remember doing it, but
And you're lucky if there's only one story going on at a time.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of times they were half of them
Yeah.
were in the next story before
Yeah.
they started talking or stopped talking about the first one. But Jane, you took that and literally played it on a tape player and recorded it on your phone, right?
Right.
And then
Davey helped me with
yeah,
that.
and then my other brother Davey emailed it to me, and I was on a work trip, and I listened to it, and I knew Mom and Dad had talked about like that the tape probably existed, that it was probably out there, and so I kind of like intellectually, I knew that it was there, but I never really gave it any thought, and I I listened to it, and I kind of shouldn't have when I listened to it because I never thought I'd hear Pop Grant's voice again.
Oh,
okay.
Oh,
And
that was
I
neat.
mean, it
Yeah.
was.
Yeah, it was fun for us. To
Yeah,
listen.
it was emotional for
Yeah.
me. I mean, it really was.
Yeah.
Just to hear, and remember, because that was like those people, those brothers and sisters sitting around talking about family and,
Right.
and stories and just being together. And you can really hear in the tape how much they loved each other
Yeah.
and how much fun they had together.
yes, I think they had a lot of fun.
Yeah, I mean they were really fun people, and they really enjoyed each other, and they really loved being together and telling
Yes.
stories, and they spent a lot of time together. I mean, it's not like a family reunion where they hadn't seen each other in 30
Right.
years. Like you're saying, they did 2 reunions a year, but they just had so much fun with the storytelling,
Yes.
and it's I thank you guys so much for doing that and sending it to me, and we're
But
gonna
I don't throw things away.
well, right. And so we're gonna play some of that tape in this podcast, and probably in some other podcasts in the future too. But we're working on seeing if we can get the audio quality to be just a little bit better. I've got my first idea failed on how to do that, but I got another one. So.
Yes, my device was not the best quality.
Well, I mean, it's not like it was recorded. How was it recorded?
Well, I just had a tape player, I think.
Right,
Just
like
sat at the table.
Probably borrowed it from somebody or had
Yeah.
one. I don't know. I did give every sibling one of those tapes, so there should be more flying around somewhere.
yeah.
But most of the siblings are gone.
It's amazing. It's amazing how easy it is to lose that stuff, and how special it is to have it. And then with doing the podcast and getting into some audio stuff, it's just really been it's just really special.
And we
thing.
just found a treasure, too. I had all these old VHS tapes with no place to play them. And then John had a TV with she called me, we found one of Sarah and Bobby's 50th wedding anniversary.
I sent that to him
Yeah.
because he's on it.
With me with a camcorder.
You were the only one that was interviewed. Nobody else.
Oh, was that you?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
No one else would interview with Leonard, but he did.
It was the only way we knew it was Leonard doing it.
That's
because
true.
you said Leonard.
You said Leonard because
Oh,
we were. Who's doing this? Who's taping this? And then luckily you said that. So
No.
that answers that.
Some things never change, maybe.
It was so cute.
I wonder where your tape is from that night.
Yeah, who knows? But I guess of those stories, was there any that you all wanted to talk about or that stand out from the tape? I mean, for me, like there was. I mean, I loved all of it, but there was some like rabbit hunting in Towanda that they did together, which they kind of always talked about going to that place and doing that thing. I mean, the brothers did. And
We like the one about our mother and dad.
I remember one time after my accident, I was at home there, and I got a erector set. I think I was supposed to be an engineer. I don't know, an erector set or a tinker toy set or something. I know Gushard was there. He was dating Sarah at the time. And anyway, I think Gushard helped me build this so far, and then he quit, and Sarah, they've been in that middle room there, remember? That little doorway Gushard had to bend his head down to get through. And then they'd go in there and close the door, and they'd have me stick there with this camera. I think I was building a camera. So I built this camera, and boy, when I was finished, I was proud of this. I come busting through that door, and I was going to take their picture. They'd have made Playboy if I
Oh, wasn't that
they'd have been in Playboy magazine. It would never have worked before. If that camera would have worked.
We were fully dressed.
Oh, you were.
I know we were. I come over and I saw you kissing Santa Claus.
Yeah, then you so nonchalantly went around the side of the house and came in the back door.
We didn't know that story. That was new to us. So.
let it play. But yeah, they talked about the farm. One thing that I had kind of forgotten was a story about Pop Grant. There was a horse that I always knew that Pop Grant was not very fond of horses. And they grew up farming with horses. They had draft horses, and they farmed with horses their whole childhoods. And I knew that Pop Grant wasn't very fond of horses, and I knew it was because he had been kicked really bad. And they told a story in there about that horse. I think the horse's name was Tom, but it sounded like it maybe kicked Pop Grant and then kicked somebody else, and then Great Grandpa said, "I'll show you." You guys don't know what you're doing around this horse, and then it kicked Great Grandpa too.
And they stood on the back and pulled with the horses, and we couldn't guide it which way it went. It went anywhere it went.
I remember an old Tom kicked me,
I remember when he kicked me too.
and he kicked Pop right after that. Pop didn't believe me. He went in, grabbed him by the tail, and bang.
He was going to show you how to walk in back of Tom.
Yeah.
And then he kicked him.
He kicked him.
He said, "Come, everything." I said, "I'm going to show you how to walk in back of that horse." Dad walked in, the horse kicked him.
And then I think that may have been the end of the horse's career.
The cat in the milk, too. That was, oh, my gosh.
Elmer Chris used to go up the cat. He'd go to the farm up there and get milk. So one day he said, "No more milk at that farm." What happened? Well, he said he was there, and the little cat got up, and the bucket was hanging there and tipped over and fell down him. And the lady just got the cat and squeezed and went down it again. She said he just wrung it out and squeezed all the milk out, and said, "That's no fun."
My thing's clean.
That was awful.
I don't know. It's just a great piece of family history and so much fun to listen to the stories.
Just that way they razz each other.
Yeah, and that it's also one of those things that I feel like I come by it honest,
Yes. Absolutely.
Sometimes I'll give Caitlin a hard time about something just to get a reaction. And then when I get her and she gets mad at me, she's like, "Why do you do that?" I'm like, it's hereditary, I think. I can't help it.
It's in our DNA.
But they were, as a group, they were just such a bunch of fun-loving people, and so quick to laughter and
good hard workers. Jane and I always say we were very lucky to have the parents we had.
Yeah, they were serious people and they were hard workers, but they had a sense of humor about life.
Yeah.
And I think thinking about it now too, for 9 siblings, I'm sure that they had times when they got mad at each other and had arguments, and even into adulthood. But in 1989, they were all older, and they all still got along. I mean, there wasn't any of them. You know what I mean? There wasn't. They had to have been quick to forgiveness too.
Yes.
I mean, on top of being good-humored and fun-loving, they must have all been.
It's a tribute to Grandma and Grandpa Ruhl.
Yeah, it really is. So, and really, it's something to aspire to. You know, it's easy to get mad at each other, and sometimes hard to forgive. But it's a great example that I think they set.
I always remember as a young girl, I think, I had the most handsome uncles. I always just when I see them, oh my gosh, they're so handsome.
Those Ruhl boys.
Oh, they were quite the group.
I don't know. Anything else?
I have a few things to add. Sarah and Bobby were kind of special to Mom and I, or to my wife and myself, Karen. We actually went on 2 pretty extended vacations with them.
Mm-hmm. Yes, they had
the first one before we had any children. We went to Florida with them for a 2-week vacation. Just Karen and I and Sarah and Bobby, and we had a pop-up camper. And we went in that. Now we didn't sleep in that all the time, or we didn't actually sleep in that much. We'd sleep in motels and things like that. But we went to Cape Canaveral. We went to Marathon. Went to Key West. Went to Disney World, which was basically just starting to open. And went to see some relation at Fort Myers and a bunch of different things. Had a really good time.
Did you go to a nude beach?
Yeah, we did go to a nude beach.
On purpose?
No, not on purpose. Of course, Randy is in the Keys. Randy wants to fish. So first place we went, we were fishing off at, I don't think it was a 7-mile bridge, but it was another one of the bridges that had a catwalk on. So we went on a catwalk, and I'm fishing, and Sarah and Bobby weren't really interested in that. But so I caught a little fish. I didn't know what it was exactly, and when you get them in, a lot of those little fish are going, rah, 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 rah. And Sarah said, "What is that?" I said, "It's a grunt." Now, there are fish that are grunts, but I don't know for sure if that was a grunt or not.
Probably not, but maybe.
So then I caught another one, and she said, "You got a Grex." So I went.
She used to call us a Grex, just for what it's worth.
I went into a bait store, and I said, "I want to go catch some bonefish or something like that. Where can I go find the bonefish?" Now, if you go into a place down there, most of them had people that would take you out to fish for money. And I wasn't interested in that. So I kind of pressed the guy a little bit. He said, "Okay, you go up here on the grassy keys, and before you cross the bridge onto the next key, turn to your right. There's a little dirt road that goes out there along the beach." Okay, so I go up there and I go out along the beach, not expecting to see anything. There's a couple cars parked out there, so we're coming up, and then the closest car, there was a guy standing, leaning up against the car with some kind of drink. And I think it might have been Sarah first. She said, "He doesn't have any clothes on."
She would notice.
Oh, so this is interesting. So we kept going out towards where most of the cars were parked. And I would say that probably a third to half of the people there were skinny dipping. Didn't have any clothes on. And a few funny things, like there was a couple there with a child. They didn't have any clothes on, but the kid, the 3-year-old, he had a bathing suit on. There was an elderly man and lady, and he had a big straw hat on. And other than that, she was laying on the raft. They didn't have any other clothes on other than that big straw hat. And the water was about knee deep, and they were wading around in the water. So I still wanted to go fishing. So we turned around and headed halfway back to the guy in the truck, and there was nobody there in a place I could pull off. So I got off, and I started fishing there. And Sarah and Bobby came down, and Karen came down and put the lawn chairs on the beach. And I'm waiting out, I'm thinking a flat. And it was kind of a flat area, and I waited out maybe 50 yards or something like that. And then I could see where it dropped off. And here was a guy fishing in a boat. Well, he was naked, but he was sitting on the side of the boat so that things were hanging out that you could see it. And so I still fished. I was still interested. I thought, well, there's a drop-off. Maybe I can catch something. I don't remember if I caught anything or anything like that. But I turned back to go back, and here was two guys walking past them on the beach naked. So we got in the car and went. And then the next day he said, well, I want to go fishing again. I'm going to go back up there. Mom and Bobby did not want to go up there. Sarah and I wanted to go back. so yeah, we had it. That's one of the things I remember about that.
I remember hearing you joking about that when I was a kid, as it was Grassy Key, but
Grassy Key,
renamed it something else.
You
lost the gruh at the beginning of it.
Yeah, that's a key.
So where was your other trip with him then? Up
in
New England?
Into New England, yeah. It was fall, and we thought, okay, we're going to go up through New England, and we're going to go out to, I don't remember, we were going to Bar Harbor, and I think up to Maine, and anyhow we thought, okay, well, we're just going to leave on a Saturday, and we're going to drive up through, and I'm going to stop. Matt was born. He was a year old. And so it was 79. They were going to have the Lake Placid Olympics in 80. And we thought, well, we're going to stop in Lake Placid and just see what that looks like. So we drove into Lake Placid and thought, they're going to have the Olympics here? I can't believe this is nothing. So then we thought, okay, we'll go out and we'll try to find a motel. Well, yeah, smart me. That time of year when the leaves are changing and the Olympics were going to be there, there was not a motel or hotel to be had anywhere. So we started driving. We drove all the way up around the west side of Lake Champlain and came down the other side to Burlington, Vermont. And it was like 2 o'clock in the morning. And one guy said to me, well, you could try to call the Chamber of Commerce. So I stopped at a roadside stop there, and I called the Chamber of Commerce, and I didn't think I'd get anybody, but I got somebody, and he said, buddy, there's 5,000 people looking for a place to stay in Burlington, Vermont tonight. So we were parked in a roadside rest or stop, along the 4-lane highway. So, okay, we're just going to stay here. So Bobby and I went into the bathroom, and then Sarah and Karen, we got back. They started into the bathroom. They passed the guy, said hi to him, a state worker. And when they got into the bathroom, the doors were locked.
Oh, no.
So they went out behind the restaurant. But now we were sleeping there, and we were in a van. I had a van at that time that had a seat in the back that folded down into a bed. So Sarah and Bobby slept on that, and we had Matt along. So we had a little bed for him, and I forget exactly how he slept in that. And Karen slept on the bench seat that was behind the two bucket seats where we sat most of the time. And I slept in the floor, kind of somehow straddled the engine cover that was in there. And the next morning when we got up, we had to scrape the ice off the inside of the windows. It was that cold. So that was the first night. But it got better after that. It actually happened to be, when's Bobby's birthday?
October the 7th.
Well, on October the 7th, Matt, at a year old, just over a year old, well, he was born in March, so he would have been almost like a year and a half. He sang happy birthday to Bobby in the restaurant that night, and the waitress was amazed. We sang that, and he used to sing Daisy, Daisy.
Oh, I remember.
Yeah. But we did that, and then we went on to Bar Harbor, toured Bar Harbor, went up Cadillac Mountain. And I remember one night we stayed in New Hampshire and saw a bunch of other places, came down through Mystic Seaport, things like that. But that was a really good trip with them also. So.
They enjoyed those trips.
They enjoyed, yes. I
Yeah,
have
and-
photos of those I can give you too.
So-
You know,
Give you too.
your folks, they, I mean, to have met them, they seemed like, you know, a little more like homebodies. But then again, they're, you know, they did stuff like that, and
Yeah,
they
they
had
loved that trip.
Yeah, they had
Yeah,
that
they did.
sense of adventure.
I think Sarah had the Ruhl rush to the going somewhere. Bobby was a little more, you know, not he wasn't as quick
We
to
never
go.
vacationed when we were kids. Our big vacation was to go to Verna's and pick eggs, and then we sandpaper the eggs clean. And
weigh the eggs.
Oh boy,
I don't remember vacationing ever much.
no.
We went with Grant once to the beach. We went to Dewey Beach, I think.
Dewey Beach, yeah, we used to go to Dewey. Was I there then, or
I think you. Was he along?
I don't remember doing a lot with you guys when we were little. I do. You know, my one recollection playing on the woodpile across the street.
Oh.
And what happened then?
Yes. Well, the bees. He had the ball, and I went in the wood pile, and the bees, Yellow Jackets or something,
Oh,
came
no.
after me, and I ran the fastest I ever ran in my life.
But not fast enough.
Not fast enough. No, I got bit.
I don't know
quite
how
a
many
bit.
things you had that time, but I remember you laying on the sofa, I think in the living room with a cold
I thought I was
power
going to die.
Yeah.
And Sarah said, "Oh, just get in the tub." You know.
Yeah, you never. I mean, that was one thing, right? It was you never got like a ton of
No.
sympathy out of any of the rules. It was always kind of a like,
It'll be okay.
walk it off, rub a little dirt on it.
Yeah. And I cracked my knee. She said, "Ride your bike around the block.
Right.
You'll feel fine."
But I mean, for me, I didn't grow up in Quentin. I grew up in Lebanon. So anytime we
big
were out here,
city.
and it wasn't that we weren't out here much, you know what I mean? But I remember. And I think the other thing to talk about, Karen and I were dating, and right after we got married, and when the kids were little, the things that we did with Sarah for cooking. I mean, she taught us a lot of the things that we do now. Opera fudge, you know, the opera fudge that she made, caramels. And I know it might have been Grandma's caramel recipe,
Yeah.
but that really started with Sarah, and Karen now makes that for church. And they were just here the other day they made, I don't know, 8 trays, which probably adds up to 30 or 40 pounds of caramels, you know, that we'll sell at the candy sale that's coming up for Easter here shortly. So, but that started over there. And then the other things that we made with them, any time we wanted to make something, that your mom made something, do you want to make that? You know, I'll show you how to make it, or things like that. So, you know,
And
it's
then
always...
Mike made his cheesecakes, and whenever I'd take him into school, I mean, all the teachers would be in at like 9 o'clock eating cheesecake. She brought the cheesecake. It's like,
Yeah, I mean, I think that's kind of like another. I mean, it's another element. I think a lot of the rules really like to teach people stuff. Like your mom liked to teach people sewing and cooking and show them how to do it. Pop Grant, you know, Beth.
Yeah.
Dad's sister Beth always talks about how much he loved to fish, but probably more than he loved to fish, he loved to teach people how to fish. And I should clear up just a few Pennsylvania Dutch terms here. I can't wait when people hear the tapes, which hopefully by this point in the episode they've already heard the tapes and some of them, and just how strong the Pennsylvania Dutch accent is. And none of you all have it too bad, just a little bit, or too good maybe, I don't know. But there's like a couple terms we use here. You said Nick's nuts, which a Nick, right? A Nick's nuts is like a mischievous kid.
Yeah, mischievous.
Or so like Nixie, you know,
Right.
like if you said the kid was Nixie, they were a little bit mischievous. What was Grex? Right?
Complain.
Said Grex.
Yeah.
Grouch.
I call it a grunt, and she says a grex.
Yeah, Grex.
You're grexing.
That's
Right.
how we
Like
used it
the-
anyway. I don't know what it really
The
meant.
Grex would be like the
if you were
complain.
complaining or
Right.
things
then-
didn't suit you or something.
And then opera fudge. I mean, chow chow is a Pennsylvania Dutch thing, I think. Opera fudge is a candy. I don't know outside of Pennsylvania Dutch country that it's
Nope.
something that I've ever seen anywhere.
No, there's a few
And
things
the sisters used to make hundreds of pounds of opera fudge and sell it
yeah.
between the three of
Especially
them.
Edna.
Pardon?
Especially
Especially
Edna.
Edna.
and Edna made angel food cakes. She
Yes.
made like tons of angel food cakes.
Right, and that's like, I mean, that's like another amazing thing about how they lived and what they did. It was like there were these seasons, right? Like, yeah, summer was gardening, and then late summer, early fall was putting all that stuff away. Right. And like you're saying, both your parents worked. I mean, you know, it wasn't like they had all day to do everything. And then as you come towards later fall and the holidays, they would start getting ready for that, and they would do things like make candy, which, you know, opera fudge and caramels or candy that they would make,
a dozen types
give
of
away
Christmas
or make
cookies.
and sell. What's that?
A dozen types of Christmas cookies.
Yeah,
at
right.
Church, they had a lot of events at church that they
various sales and fundraisers for church, and then, you know, I don't know what they did in the spring.
They started a playground in Quentin. It's not here any longer, but
I bet late winter and spring she probably did a lot of sewing. You know, probably Bobby did a lot of woodworking then, and you know,
they were busy.
Yeah, I mean, just incredibly so. Industrious, I think.
Well, she couldn't sit still. She always said that I have to be doing something. So
I don't know that any of them could. Right? They all
watching TV. Bobby always had a puzzle. Sarah always had knitting needles.
Christmas, he always had his trains out.
His train set.
Yes, he had a big Lionel train set.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
We still have it.
Do you?
Yes, I don't throw anything away.
The one note that I wanted to not miss is that Jane makes the best Rice Krispie treats in the history of the world.
Oh, gee.
And I knew this.
No pressure.
Again, it's one of these things that I like intellectually knew and I remembered from my childhood. And then I was home at Christmas, and I don't know how we acquired them, but somebody said, "Oh, there's Rice Krispie treats over there from Jane." And I don't crave Rice Krispie treats or really love them. I eat a Rice Krispie treat. And I was like, back to my childhood. Like, oh my God, this is the best. It's really true. It's the best. And I don't know what the secret is, but
I just follow the box.
Didn't Davey hide them sometimes?
Yes.
Well, yeah, Davey
Yes, he
definitely would hide
I
them.
used to make him some when he went to camp. So.
That was. I can't wait to do an episode with Davey. There's a lot of good stories about Davey and food.
Well, I can't wait to hear those.
I'll preview one. I found the photo today of when Matt and Davey tried to eat a gallon of vanilla pudding out of a can. I'll even spoil the story by saying they didn't accomplish that.
That didn't go too well.
Turns out a half a gallon of pudding each is too much. But anyway,
get a gallon of pudding.
Oh,
no.
Anything
Costco.
else you guys want to add?
No. I enjoy your podcast.
Yes, we really do.
Well, thanks
Learning
so
a
much
lot.
for,
We're learning a lot
for listening. It's just, I mean, it's really been fun, and it's kind of like trying to take the attitude of,
keeping in touch.
Yeah, right. I mean, Mark and I have been talking a lot more since we started doing it, and all these family connections that have kind of bubbled back to the surface. And if nobody ever listens to these things,
at least we've enjoyed
we will.
them.
40 years from now, maybe kids will pull them out, you know what I mean, and listen to them, and that'll be worth it. I mean, it would be. I wish we had more than 35 minutes of tape.
Yes.
But
Yes.
anyway, thank you for
welcome.
engaging with us on this and sending us stuff, and and being part of the family. So
Okay.
thanks so much.
This went a little longer than we thought maybe it would go. I think things went pretty well. Sounds like we got quite support. Maybe you want to, most of the people are leaving. I don't know. Okay. Like to meet you.
Thanks a lot.
Want to thank everybody. Maybe we'll have another session again.
Yeah, I got one.
Hunting and fishing, the great outdoors, mixing history, laughter, love, and folklore, creating memories with family and friends. These are the trophies that matter in the end. Outdoor Ruhls.